So just to say, as well as myself and Emberly, our colleague Irene O'Dowd, who is the researcher with the Digital Learning Department in Hibernia College, also worked on this project with us. So I just wanted to acknowledge Irene. Before I get started looking at what we did, I just want to give you a bit of information about Hibernia College, just in case you're not familiar with us. I won't go through all of this, but just to say we're a private higher education institution. We're experts in blended and online learning. We offer programs in education, nursing, and business data analytics. Like David and Robert, our library is a fully online library, and it sits within our digital learning department. Thank you. So, why a course in digital literacy for Hibernia College? Well, I suppose we're all aware of the centrality, I suppose, of digital technology in our world today in every facet of what we do. And this is no more relevant than for our students at Hibernia College, where they use digital technology very heavily within their course and their programme. We did notice a gap in library resources in terms of digital literacy, and we thought that a course like this would help to complement and kind of build upon really kind of strong resources that we have in terms of academic writing and referencing. Another thing is the fact that we have a recently established community of practice and academic integrity at Hibernia College, which myself and Irene are members of. And there was a push from there to develop more supports for students in terms of like navigating digital spaces. And that was seen as potentially a proactive measure against academic misconduct. So why then did we want to make it an open course? Well, I guess there was a number of reasons for that. I've already mentioned the importance of digital technology in today's world. So by its very nature, the content was going to be applicable to everybody. As well as that, we drew on a lot of open resources when we were developing the course. So we didn't want to just take, we wanted to give as well. So we saw that as a really nice way to give back to the wider community. As well as that then, OER creation and dissemination are supportive of the SDGs. Specifically, we identified 3 that it directly relates to. The first one is quality education, where it's actually explicitly addressed in the literature. Good health and well-being, and also decent work and economic growth. So we were very happy to contribute to that. Digital citizenship then, again, is another area that it contributes to. So I just wanted to read out the Council of Europe's definition of digital citizens. These are individuals who are able to use digital tools to create, consume, communicate, and engage positively and responsibly with others. And we hope that our course helps to nurture digital citizenship at Hibernia College and beyond. So just a few reflections on developing the course itself. So one of the biggest considerations and the most difficult considerations for us when we were developing the course was choosing what domains to cover. Digital literacy is obviously a very, very vast area. And to help us with that, we consulted a number of different frameworks that dealt with digital literacy. We looked at DigComp, the JISC framework, and the CALL framework. We noticed a lot of crossover between the different frameworks in terms of the domains that they covered. They tended to cover 5 or 6 different domains. We knew we couldn't cover all of them, particularly in the first iteration of this course, and it is a continual work in progress. But we settled on 3, information literacy, communication and collaboration, and digital health and well-being. So they've formed the 3 lessons within our current version of the digital literacy course. We then had considerations around how are we going to build this thing anyway, do you know? So we're lucky enough to sit within the digital learning department in our college, where they already use software for content creation. So we had access to Rise and we had access to Moodle. We used Rise to build the lessons, and we found that, you know, there are of course restrictions with Rise, but what we found was it was really, really easy to use, and it offered a lot in terms of the ability to create engaging and interactive content. We did settle on Moodle for the quizzes, principally because it allowed us to have more choices in terms of the kind of questions we could ask. It allowed us to give feedback on the different questions, and it allowed us to grade the answers as well. We also had decisions to make around the time spent on tasks and quizzes, how much to include, and at what level. And we settled on a course composed of 3 lessons, 3 quizzes, and it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. So I'm just going to pass over to Emberly now to tell you some more.
All right, so we finally got all our content together, and we decided the next thing we needed to do is to pilot our course. So we went ahead and within our digital literacy design team, which we sit in as mentioned, we decided to let them test out the course and give their feedback. We got some differing opinions on the feedback, some ways that we could cover the content differently or slightly better. And we ended up going back, edited the course again, and we wanted to be ready to launch our course along with Ireland's Be Media Smart campaign, Media Literacy Ireland's Be Smart campaign, that's a mouthful, which coincides with UNESCO's Global Media and Information Literacy Week. So we were all set to do that, but as librarians, we are also not designers. So our design team came back and wanted to make some edits before we actually launched the course. So they came back with some edits that they wanted to increase engagement and include more of a variety of content that we weren't aware we could create, and increase some of the UDL elements of the course. So we kind of had a soft launch initially, and now we are finally ready to fully launch the course. And you can see here the structure of the course. On the left, you can see the RISE modules for information literacy, digital wellness, and communication and collaboration. And on the right, you can see just a little snapshot of the quizzes in Moodle. So for the future, we wanted to really focus, as we were developing this, on the 5 R's of openness. And already we have retained the module as it is available in our institutional repository ISK, which is also open access. That also allows us to redistribute it. And we also wanted to make different ways to use the content in different ways. So for example, right now it is an online course, but it could, for example, be used as a live session instead. And then going forward, we also want ways to revise and remix it. We want to expand the content that we currently have there and include some of the other areas of the frameworks, which were mentioned earlier. And you could also possibly remix it with other OERs. So to access this module, there's a QR code there. That will take you to our ISK repository there. And from there, you will be able to download a zip file. And I apologize in advance for that screen. You will get a cookie screen that takes an unusually long time to clear. But when you download the zip file, you won't be able to see it right away, but there are instructions in the zip file for how to load and view the course. And it is also available on OER Commons, but that will also take you back to ISK as well. So we hope that this has inspired you with OERs, and we hope that you'll continue to engage with both this and other open educational resources. There's some references, and thank you for your attention.